So, welcome to our podcast, UFO in the Know podcast. It's me, Luke Dircher, with my good friend John Bart Hobbs, coming into us from an undisclosed location. Here we're just having idle chit chat. Today we have some loose topics that we kind of want to discuss, but kind of just see where the conversation goes. Just keep it nice and loose and light. But in light of the recent events, the new news, the new whistleblower who says that he knows that the U.S. does have at least 12 recovered UFOs. I think that all just makes this all more real in everyone's mind and not something that's silly. And I wanted to just kind of talk about my personal experience with this. So, I worked at NASA. I was in the military with you. We served in the military together, and we saw, first of all, we saw how incompetent the military is for the most part of even just doing basic paperwork and not losing it. So how are they hiding aliens from us? That's a good question. It kind of makes it seem like there must be a whole nother military with like all the real professionals go in this military, and we'll stick all the all the regular grunts in the regular military. And also I went on to college after that and went to work at NASA, and most people at NASA do not take the UFO subject seriously. But I will share this. I did have a colleague at NASA tell me at lunch. This is, when I started at NASA, I didn't take this UFO thing seriously. I thought, well, nobody wants to discuss it at work. It's not a thing that NASA really discusses in the workplace. It's kind of just a silly tabloid topic that, people read about on their own. But at lunch one day, my colleague says to me, he says, I have a friend at the CIA, and he tells me he knows that we have one, a craft. And I said, what are you talking about? And he's like, a UFO, we have one. The US government has one. And I was like, the first time I heard him say that, I almost like dismissed it off the back of my mind. Like, right. Okay, sure. All right. That sounds silly. Like, you and I know, like, you spent more time in the military than I did. We got no inclination that there's any aliens being hidden somewhere that I ever saw. So that seems silly at first. And then came the 2017 admission by the Navy that they did have a photo of a UFO or a video, and they did send craft after it. That kind of made me take it more seriously. And I did have, which I made a video on, which I first started my own experience when I was a kid. I saw something, but not enough to, like, I didn't see an alien outright in my face, but enough to make me curious, make me think there was something to this. And then I just started reading books. I started watching everything, consuming all the UFO content. It's just been nonstop. Go, go, go. It's easy to get a little obsessed with it. But I think when you start out, it's like when you first hear about it, you kind of have to dip your foot in the water a little bit with it and say, okay, there is something to this. I know there's something. I don't think that, there's aliens in the earth, underground, or on the moon or something, but I know there's something to this. And then as I started reading more and more books and hearing more and more things, and like more things people have in common that they say, I'm starting to not just toss out everything as a possibility. Like maybe the moon does have aliens on it. I don't know. I mean, remember that Y-Files episode we watched? Like, there is some kind of suspicious things about the moon that
I've never been to the moon. That's the thing. Like, if I could go up and see what they could see, I feel like I might have a different opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I do know from my experience at working at NASA that the NASA does have a satellite monitoring the moon all the time, and somebody's watching it all the time. So that's what made me think, no, that's couldn't be possible. But now that I hear more stuff, it just makes me have more second thoughts about maybe there's something to that. I don't know, but I'll let you speak about what you want to speak. But maybe you could talk about that, like how, like I think, how
It's
did you
different.
start getting into this, and then at some point you have to the belief really hits you. You're like, wow, there really is aliens, and we really do have them. That's like a huge thing to accept. Like, I think you probably got there, but I'll let you talk. I don't want to hog
I
the
think
conversation.
the problem is that, you know, when you take off and start on the subject, you initially you get bombarded with a bunch of stuff that you just know is completely false. Like there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of things that are out there that you know is more than likely completely false. And I think that's just because there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of people who want attention. There are people out here telling you that you can contact aliens using your mind. I mean, I don't believe that for a second, you know. And now another thing is that if they exist, and I believe that they do, I believe that there are craft that the United States has. I'm sure we're in possession of something, but it can't be this just gigantic, rampant problem because you'd have too many witnesses, you'd have too many people to silence, and if you haven't noticed, people in the government can't keep their mouth shut anyways. I mean, there are some people who can. You could pay me enough to do it. You know, you could pay somebody
Yeah.
enough to do it, but at the end of the day, you kind of have this. The problem is that people are the weak link, right? And the more people that know about it, the less likely it is to stay a secret. And from my perspective, you know, I look at every case that I've seen, everything that I've watched. I've watched. I love the Y Files. I love watching documentaries on this stuff. But you can tell almost right away that the more elaborate of a scheme it is, like, okay, if there was a base on the moon, they could get away with having one on the dark side of the moon and we wouldn't know about it. They could get away with that, but you couldn't have somebody at NASA peering in on it all the time. Every few
Yeah.
years, you'd have somebody trying to advance their career and having to introduce another person into this mission of watching this stuff, you know? So you end up, and then you have to have people to supervise him, and then more supervisors, you know? So the more elaborate it gets, the less likely I am to believe it. You know, I believe that these programs that they have for the stuff that probably fell out of oversight. There's no oversight on them anymore. They just nobody's keeping up with it. I feel like that's what's going on because you can't have this. It's like saying that there's a base under the Denver airport. It's highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely. There'd be so much traffic. There'd be so much dirt to move. There'd be so many people involved. It'd be a major story. You know, same thing with alien spacecraft. I mean, the amount of incidents has got to number under 20 throughout since Roswell. You know, like that's like the maximum amount I think they could get away with having ever occurred. You know, so it's been suggested they have somewhere between 5 and 7 craft before. I believe that was Bob Lazar that said, I don't remember if it was 5 or 7 that they were in possession of, but it feels like that sounds like the right number. You know what I mean? Like somewhere in there, maybe. You know, because if there were that many incidents happening, it would be out there. You know, and today's technology, we all have webcams, we all have phones, we can go Facebook Live. You know, you can capture this information. It's easier to say that somebody edited a video, but it's not. It would just be more common. You know, I don't feel like it happens often. So it's got to be easy to keep a secret, and there can't be a lot of people involved. So that's what I look at when I look at an info. You know.
So right, so I guess part of the lore or the legend or things that I've heard is that okay, there's these like men in black police that just show up and take your cameras or take your phones or stuff. those guys supposed to be really fucking busy. Like there must be like, you know, and if they're covering the whole world, everything that happens in the whole world, then I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I guess it's possible if like, so if NORAD's tracking these things coming in from space and they just every time just send a crew over like, hey, we got another one, guys, over in Africa, go get it. Or, I don't know.
In my opinion, that's ridiculous because they apparently had one in Australia that happened. You know, a whole school of kids saw it. A bunch of people saw it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, within a couple of hours or something, there were two men in black. I mean, it's what the story goes on. They show up and they threaten people. They take the evidence. But we haven't heard any recent stories about that since anywhere from the 60s to the 80s. You know, it hasn't happened in the 2000s. You know what I'm saying?
No.
That I'm aware of. You know, this hasn't been a good. So they've either gotten very good at it, at covering it up, or it seems unlikely, though. I mean, looking at the spy balloons that have flown over the U.S. that nobody's reported, or that, you know, the other debris that's flown over. People see that stuff, record it, catch it, report it, and the government's missing out on taking care of their business, right? So I just find it real hard to believe that they're that competent. You know,
right? They must be spending a lot of our taxpayer dollars just trying to keep a lie to us. Like that seems absurd. Like,
yeah, and you know it's bad because so many people know that this stuff is true. Like so many people already suspect the government and have since we were children, at least, you know, that they have UFOs and we don't know about it
since 1947.
Yeah,
since grandpa's time, you know.
Yeah, since our grandparents were children. And
yeah,
you know, we've suspected it for such a long time, and for them to have zero disclosure on it is really insane. I think it should be criminal because you got a whole scientific community worldwide, really, but even just in the United States, that could figure these things out, could reverse engineer them, could come up with a way to meaningfully, you know, and they're reserving these apparently for who they think is the best. You know, like if the government thinks you're the best, well, the best person may not always have the answer. You know, the best person.
Yeah, and the military is going to use it for whatever they want. They're not going to use it to give everyone free power on the earth or help people, you know, who need things. No.
The other hand, you kind of have the idea that if we come out and we find out that we're the only ones that have this stuff, let's just say that Russia doesn't have it, China doesn't have it, nobody else has it. You know, if we come out and say that, then there's kind of a problem. You know, people will be jealous that we have this technology and they do not. You know. You know,
well, China already spies on us like crazy. My university. So my university got a DARPA contract, and I heard that Chinese enrollment went up 1,000% after we got the DARPA contract. So, I mean, if they know that we have this stuff, they're going to be sending spies. Like how, you know, eventually they would get a spy in there, I feel like.
Yeah. Sorry, there was a message coming through on here. I was telling somebody to stop. No, yeah. So the way that I look at it is like if we have this technology and they don't have it, this could start a war. If we don't want to disclose the information to them, they could use it as a they could use it as an excuse to start a war. They could say that we're not disclosing all the information to them. They could say that we're hoarding technology that doesn't belong just to the United States.
Or, I mean, hiding a huge secret that everyone wants to know about.
Yeah.
Everyone has a right to be upset about that. I mean, not just the American people, but the whole world's going to be upset.
Oh, yeah.
You know, another thing I was thinking too is, so I don't think the military just tells us, discloses things that they have just out of the kindness of their own heart. or just because they think it's the right thing to do. I think the military only discloses things like this when it's beneficial to them. I think there's got to be some ulterior motive to. And Gresh, the latest whistleblower, he had permission from the DoD to do that interview and say all that stuff. So why would they give him permission? Like,
The DoD or permission from Congress? Isn't it?
no, it's the military gave him permission.
So he had to ask permission to disclose it to Congress?
Yeah, he had to get permission. That's what he said on this Ross Coulthard interview.
Oh,
Yeah, like a written letter. Yeah, he had a letter from the DoD saying he could say that.
The thing is, I think that we should go to where it's just, they should put it in law. Like, look, you're allowed to disclose this in a classified briefing to the Senate Intel Committee or whoever's in charge, you know?
Well, it is in law.
Anything.
That's in law already.
Well, he shouldn't have to have permission. He should just be able to go to them.
I think the permission thing was because it's so classified, but then he should have whistleblower protection. So you're right.
He shouldn't even have to ask permission because he's blowing the whistle on something. So like, and I'm not going to give my thoughts on this, but you know, like Edward Snowden, right? This dude knows all kinds of stuff. Revelations of crap that we didn't know was going on. It's still going on. We can't do anything about it. We know about it, but we know about it, you know.
But he had to get his ass out of the country quick, like after he did that.
Yeah, but his thing is, here's the thing though, we wouldn't have known about it. We wouldn't have known about it, but he could have blown the whistle to Congress at a classified briefing. And, you know, that would have been
that's what he should have done.
People's representatives. Exactly. He should have done it that way anyways. You know, there's a way to do it without people exposed and things like that. That's what he should have done. So what this guy did was the right thing. What this guy did was the right thing. I'm happy about that. But he definitely shouldn't have to have permission. And I think there should be automatic amnesty for people that go the route that he went. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't be able to be punished.
No, that's what the National Defense Authorization Act says now, that they have to give whistleblower protection to anybody who wants to disclose anything from like 1947 on. Any of this stuff.
It should. I mean, that protects a lot of people because there may be people involved that feel like they can't have the oversight they need. They can't talk about the program. They can't disclose it to the American people. Maybe they're afraid that they're going to be in trouble, you know, when they're just following the rules that were established when they became in charge of the program or something, I guess. So I look at it, you know. I don't want anybody to have to worry when they come forward with it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we don't know what the penalty is for telling these secrets or what they said, you know, because I know some of the Roswell witnesses said that they said they're gonna like murder their whole family and their grandchildren and all this stuff, and I don't know, somebody told you that.
Yeah, they say that, but you know, let's be real. Like, if you come out and state this stuff, but a lot of the whistleblowers, or the people that have come forward, you know, the common story is, oh, they committed suicide. You know, that's one of them. But aside from that, I mean, like, if
they make it look like an accident.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but, I think it's bullcrap. I mean, you think about it, if you're the guy that's in charge of the secret, if I was the guy in charge of the secret of the UFOs, I would put myself in everyone else's position and say, you know, hey, I would want to know too. You know, what are you keeping it secret for? I mean, what's going to happen if we do find out? What's going to happen if the American people find out? What's really going to happen? People are going to jump out of buildings, I guess.
I don't think so. I think we've been through enough that everybody's probably could handle this better.
I think we all already know it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
We all already know it.
A lot of people, kind of suspect it a lot already.
I mean, it's been a known fact in my mind since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So let's pause real quick. Let me grab a energy drink.
Yeah, sure.
I almost asked
I'm
you
at
for
pause.
anything.
What I was gonna say was I'm what I'm most curious about is just what they look like and what it all looks like. And now I'm hearing from like the whistleblowers and everything that they look a lot like they looked. And when I was a kid, I was super interested in aliens, and I went and looked through all the books in my school library, and they had pictures of the different kinds of aliens. And they had the grays, and they have you heard of like the Nordic looking ones that look like uh, basically just Nordic looking people with blonde hair, and but most of them, they all look similar to humans a lot, and that's what I'm hearing. They do look like humans, and that's really exciting to me. And I think that kind of means something. It means something about our existence, and brings into question our existence. If there's these aliens that look so much like us, what does that mean for us? And that's pretty exciting to me. I think about, but I don't
Well, I
know.
mean, the way that I look at it is like it is odd that they would look like humans, but it also makes sense because to well, look at the other animals on Earth that are actually achieving things. What are they? Not chimps. I guess chimpanzees, orangutans. They have opposable thumbs. They have digits they're able to grab things with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think walking upright is a requirement, but being able to grab things, like they say, dolphins are more intelligent than us. I don't believe that for a second. I don't
Yeah,
think
but they don't have
especially the way
hands,
they
so they can't make
talk.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, they can't talk. And the same thing, like
Mm-hmm.
dogs can't talk. They're pretty intelligent, but they can't talk. So their
Mm-hmm.
communication is all body language, but they can't make tools. They can't use tools. So it makes some sense to look like humans, but
Mm-hmm.
they also say that maybe they look the way they do because they've been out in space for so long. You look at the effects gravity has on us, and what you might look like living in space or on a planet with different gravity. You know,
Oh, yeah, and gravity's terrible on the human body. It like basically like being out in microgravity for I've heard for like a few months can like degrade your skeleton, just like being an old person. So that's what.
yeah.
So it wouldn't necessarily. It'd be really bad for the human body, but I mean, things I've heard just through like reading about them is they're not quite human. It must be like they're like I've heard other things that say that like they're artificial beings, like they're
Yeah,
they're like kind of robots, like organic robots,
like a drone.
like a drone. Yeah, like a
I don't
really
know.
smart drone.
That one's a bit to me a bit far fetched. I guess I couldn't understand it. Maybe they could be.
I mean, I've heard things about like so they'll crash and just be left, and like nobody comes and gets it. Like the aliens don't come get it, or if they did get one at Roswell, which I think I did, why they did, why didn't the aliens show up to our door and say, give us our fucking spaceship back? It makes sense if the spaceship, it wasn't anything alive in there, and it was just kind of a toy, and they're just kind of like, oh, okay, you guys got us. Or
They may also not feel the same way they do about their dead that we do. I mean,
mm-hmm.
there are some animals that, you know, may not. Now, there may be some species of alien that does not really care. Once you're dead, you're dead, and the
Mm-hmm.
drone idea makes a little bit of sense from that standpoint. Like, well, I just lost a doll, I guess.
Yeah.
But imagine being out in space for years. You lose all your muscle mass. There'd be no reason for your eyes to look the way they are, pupils and stuff if you're not
I
anywhere
think your
around here.
eyesight starts to go bad too, because I think you need gravity to like hold your pupils together. It starts to relax, just like you've been, if you've been wearing big thick glasses for a long time, your pupil relaxes and you can't see as well. I think that same thing happens.
Yeah,
Somebody
it's
they have
not
big.
like using your eyes to dilate and stuff, you know. Imagine if you're in
Yeah.
space and you only need this gigantic eyeball.
Yeah.
That could be the case. I don't know. Personally, I want to know what they look like. I want to know if these are the questions I want answered. What do they look like? How many different types do we have? Do we know where they're from? Do we have an idea where they're from? Do we have any idea at all?
Uh,
Did we ever capture any still alive? And I want to know about the one that was in Brazil, the Virginia one. I want to know if that was real and if they really like breathe ammonia or some
uh,
substance like that. You know, like we know if they even could survive here, you know, outside of their craft.
yeah.
Those are the questions I want to know about the aliens. The craft, I want to know, you know, can we fly them? Do we
Uh,
have the fuel to fly them? Are they really transmedium? Can they fly through air, space, and water equally? You know, if they can fly through the water the same as they can through the air, then it would make sense that they could just fly through the earth. You know,
uh,
if you go through air and water at the exact same speed and everything, I would imagine you could go through solids as well. But you know, those are questions that I want to know. I want to know what they look like. I want to know, you know, can I fly one? You know,
uh,
I'm a heavy equipment operator and I navigate ships. I'm used to being gone for long periods of time. Put me in a UFO.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can do it. You know what I mean?
Uh,
67
uh,
licenses on heavy equipment. I can do it. You know, like I
yeah.
know I can. And that's the problem. Like I know I can. What's a fighter pilot going to tell you about a craft that flies using no type of technology we've ever used to fly a plane? We don't develop those
Yeah.
things here on Earth. What's he going to tell you? You know, I don't know. Nothing. He's not going to tell you anything because he doesn't know. He doesn't know any more than I do.
Right.
You know what
Uh,
I'm saying? So like that's those are the things I want to know. But the things I
uh,
don't think they're going to tell us are those things. They're not going to tell us. They're not going to tell us what we want to know. They're going to hide it behind national security. You know, oh,
yeah.
national security. Well, really, I don't see how any of those questions are national security. I think not letting us know is more of a security issue than anything.
Yeah, I think it will. I think everybody wants to know the answers to those questions, and once people think that the U.S. government knows and they're hiding them, I think people are gonna really start pushing for them to disclose what they have.
I think it makes more sense for us to try to normalize the fact that we have them, the fact that we
Hmm.
don't know much about them, maybe, or what we do know about them. You can make the American people feel safe and secure by
Hmm.
letting them know the right way, by normalizing this. Because if we
Hmm.
come out and shock everyone, yeah, there's going to be activists that pop up and be like, we need to form a one world government and fight the aliens, or we need to send, you know, people here to, you know, negotiate. We don't, do we even know if we can do that? You know,
Yeah,
do we
I
have any
imagine there'd
idea?
be if people are so shocked. I imagine there would be like alien cults popping up and people saying, "Oh, like somebody like Greer will pop up and say, "Oh, I have a connection with the aliens. If you come join my cult, I'll put in a good word for you with the aliens and let you speak to them for you." Or that's gonna happen. I guarantee you, something's like that's gonna happen. I feel
I
like.
don't know, man. That guy, I don't know what he's so hard to take seriously. Like I can't. I've watched so many clips of him that I can't take seriously, and I want to
Hmm.
be able to. I want to be able to. You know, I look at Lou Elizondo when he speaks. I listen to him, and
Hmm.
I think I feel like this is a guy that's, you know, he might say some things and then and cut it off, you know, and leave you with a cliffhanger, you know, occasionally. Maybe he has to, maybe he doesn't have to. I don't know. But it doesn't seem like he just flat out comes out and just spins a story in a lie. It makes
Hmm.
everything he says makes sense. When he talks about classified information, it makes sense. When he talks about why people don't want to disclose it, he makes a lot of sense. When you listen to Greer, he's talking about alien skeletons and all these top secret things he's been a part of that I don't believe it. You know, I
Hmm.
believe people have come to him over the years because he's a figure who's out there, he's public, and people want to discuss with him. You know, but I don't know. I have no idea. You know, he's too much for me to watch. I can't take him seriously.
Yeah, for me, what I see when I listen to him, which you're right, I can't tolerate listening to him for that long, is somebody who's got just like a really narcissistic personality that needs to be listened to. Like
Yes.
somebody who just needs people to listen to them and take them seriously and will do just about anything to get that and will lie. And he's been, the alien skeleton thing, that was somebody made a academic paper allegedly disproving that was not a skeleton, that was a human skeleton with like giganticism or something. And at the same time, I do know that he was in the Wilson memo, and he's also having his conference in DC this weekend, his disclosure event, which I hope that goes well. I hope that makes progress towards disclosure. I hope he doesn't ruin it by being a phony baloney guy. I don't think he should be the guy that should be leading this up. I think there should be somebody else. He can go hawk his little courses somewhere else, but let somebody else do this stuff.
I think I think Stephen Greer needs to step away from it all. Honestly, I mean, he's made enough money from it. People come to him, and they need to stop. They really do need to stop. If I were to go to somebody with serious information, the person that I would go to if I had actual serious information I want to talk to somebody about it would be Lou Elizondo. And the reason why I would do that, I trust that Lou could look at that and be like, this is false. This is not real. Like he can look at it through a lens that I'm capable of understanding. When when I listen to Stephen Greer, I have to. It's like dissecting, like John Greenwald said in the Foyer. It's like there's so much stuff in there. You have to try to pick through and find the truth. And there may not be any truth to it at all. Like it could be completely fake. This dude could just be spouting complete nonsense, and it feels like that every time I listen to it.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah, it
worth
feels
it's
like
not worth my time. And I feel
I
like
definitely don't. I was going to say this. I don't think he's doing the due diligence to make sure that he knows what he's saying is true. He just kind of takes things in and says, "Oh yeah, I have an alien skeleton. This guy in Egypt sold it to me for $20. It's definitely real, guys. I'm going to charge you, $100 to look at this thing."
the thing is with that CE5 crap, like he charges people to go out there with him, or and do it, or he charges you for the app, or there's some kind of money involved, first of all. Second
Yeah,
of
it doesn't
all,
feel like he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He's doing it to make money. He's
exactly.
trying to.
And to be honest with you, it's the easiest thing to do. So like if I'm trying to do it, let's say I put my whole heart into it and I really believe it and I'm out there every day and and I can't ever get anything. Well, first of all, no alien cares about me and is going to listen to my mind and come to me. It's not going to happen, first of all. Second of all, even if I did go out there and do all that, he's just going to say, or him or anybody else is just going to say, "Well, you aren't doing it right. You didn't truly believe." Blah blah blah. Come on, dude. Let's get
Yeah.
real. This is the most. He's a charlatan. And I'm going to use that word too because I feel like I just don't respect it. I think he probably has some good info. He probably has some inside info that I'll never get. But that's just because people have confided in him. And I don't think he's worthy of their confidence because when you listen to him speak, like those little YouTube shorts pop up with him, I can't even watch a whole one. I can't
Yeah,
listen to him talk about it.
you
I
got to
just
pay for the whole thing. You get the short, but the whole thing you got to buy the
I don't
subscription.
even want to watch it for free. Like
Yeah.
I don't even want to watch it for free, and I can't do it. But I listened to a whole like 3-hour podcast driving home one day with Lou Elizondo and another guy. And I really respect the guy and hope that what he says and does continues to be, where he's at now. I hope he stays straight, with us the whole time. I don't expect him to do or say anything that's going to get him in trouble. I don't expect him to say anything that's. I want him to tell me all the classified stuff he knows, anything, I want that, but at the same time, I don't expect him to, like as a curious person, you want to know all that stuff. You want to, but I don't expect it, and I appreciate the fact that he's riding the line, and giving us what he can, and being truthful and being honest, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the effort that goes into that. That's why I listen to him. I respect him. Rear, I don't have a complete thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't.
Well,
I don't know.
Elizondo did have. We know for a fact he had a high level military position, so we know he's at least respectable in that sense.
And when he talks about things that have to do with security clearances and information disclosure, you can tell he's done it before. You know that he's done it before. You can tell by the way he talks. You can tell by the things he says. He's been there, and he knows what he's talking about. And when you listen to other people say stuff about, top secret crap or secret crap or any of that stuff, anything classified, they don't know what they're talking about. They have no idea. And when you listen to Lee Elizondo do it, you know that he is telling you from experience. He's been there, he's done it, he knows what he's talking about, and it comes across that way, First of all, and second of all, as much stuff as Greer puts out, if any of that was top secret, they would have shut him up a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like with as much information as he's coming out with, I feel like he's just putting out misinformation.
Well, allegedly they gave him $2 billion to shut up, and he turned it down.
Okay, sure. You give me $2 billion.
Yeah.
But you better show me something to keep my mouth shut about.
Yeah.
You show me something to keep my mouth. You give me $2 million, I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, just give me a peek at the pictures. Something.
If you're gonna pay me that much, I must have seen something worth paying me that much for. But
yeah, give me a glance. I won't take any photos.
I'll just remember it in my mind. I won't tell us.
Yeah.
For $2 billion.
Yep. I'll keep it to myself.
Yeah, why is your family so rich? Well, pretty sure my great grandfather saw some aliens once. That's why they're rich. So that's the rumor.
Yeah. I don't know. Just lucky, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be that might be it, So rich, Dad. Oh, my grandfather saw some aliens once. What's that? What happened? I don't know. He just saw aliens. I want to know though. I mean, you could pay if I have to. But my problem is if I have to do the digging, if I'm the guy doing the research, finding the information, there is a point when I found the information that I'm looking for, enough information, I'm going to share it if I have to look for it myself. If I have to go out and do the investigation myself, I'm not doing an investigation right now. But if I was the guy doing the investigation, if I had to put in all the hard work, all you did is try to keep it from me for years and years and do everything you could to keep me from finding out, I'm going to make it worth my while. It's not just going to be for me. Everybody on the planet wants to know about this stuff. But if I happen to be told about it or shown it, I'm not going to say anything because I know it's selfish to say that, but it satisfies my curiosity.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of, it feels crappy to say that, but but that's the truth. I kind of want that out there because maybe somebody sees this and says, you know what, maybe we'll show this guy the UFOs and he'll shut up about them.
Yeah, maybe so I did apply for the CIA. I don't know if I'll get it, but the CIA could see this and be like, hey, CIA, just wink wink, you show me the goods and I shush.
I have my doubts that I have serious doubts that the CIA knows anything about UFOs.
Well, just in case. We'll see.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, I think they did at one point. I think somebody did.
Yeah, at some point probably, but programs change hands like the Coast Guard changes hands.
Yeah, allegedly the
Department of
program,
Homeland
the UFO
Security.
program, was run by the Air Force, and then they deemed that I think that the Air Force wasn't really as effective as keeping secrets as the CIA was, and the CIA said, "No, no, no, you need to keep this quiet. We need to handle this." And then so allegedly the CIA took it over, and then now that the freedom of information exists, I think it probably changed hands. It probably went to a private contractor.
I imagine it's always been in the hands of a private contractor, and I think that the reason for that is when Bob Lazar came out, he wasn't working for the government. He was
Yeah.
working for, I believe it was EG&G. And you got to think about the fact is the government cannot reverse engineer this stuff. The amount of people it takes in the government to do anything, because it requires so much oversight, the military does, stuff like that. You don't have, you have people who are researching these products, or researching things like that. I guess if I were to have somebody do it, I would have outside contractors do it too, and work on it, where their job is to, we don't make, the Air Force doesn't make jets, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't make jets, they fly jets,
No, yeah, they buy jets that people make. Yeah.
Exactly. They don't make missiles, they shoot them. That's kind of the best explanation for it. And then additionally, a private company has, I would say, even more of a vested interest in keeping the secret than the government does, because from the government, don't get paid enough to keep secrets, sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You see that happen all the time. It's part of your security clearance. They want to know if you're in debt, if you can be bribed.
Mm-hmm.
These private security contractors probably pay more. They think about that's their specialty. That's where they specialize at.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want the secret getting out either. Like, if let's just say that Lockheed Martin had access to this technology, do they want Northrop Grumman or Boeing to know that they've had access to this technology while they're bidding on government projects?
Yeah, that's a lawsuit.
That's a lawsuit, and then on top of that, they lose exclusive access to it, whether they even know what the hell it is or not. They lose exclusive access. I wouldn't want to do that. Feels like that would be the right route to go for me if I were making a decision.
Yeah. So
might as well vape on camera.
I think so. I think this Gresh guy, this latest whistleblower, he's going to become the next Elizondo. He's going to be the guy everybody's going to go to for answers, and be like, people are going to be having him on UFO podcasts and he's going to be doing interviews for probably the rest of his life. I imagine people are going to just keep asking him about this.
Yeah, the problem is that somebody's going to get to him with money. Somebody's going to get to him with money, and it's probably going to be Stephen Greer, who exclusively get the information from. That's what I would do. If I were Greer, I would do that. If I were this dude, I would go to Lou Elizondo with it. If I were going to go to anybody with it, it sounds like he's not going to go to anybody with anything classified. It sounds like he's not going to tell secrets that he's not supposed to tell. And part of that, I think, is the fact that he has testified to Congress about it. So, right. So you look at it and you're like, you've got to tell somebody. You've already told somebody. You've got that out of your system. And now you have members of Congress that you can openly discuss this with, in a classified setting. And I think a lot of holding a secret in is having someone to talk to about it. So hopefully that satisfied it for him, and he doesn't end up being the guy that came forward and blew the whistle and then committed suicide.
Yeah, I hope not.
That is the thing. I would be worried about that. I would be worried about that personally.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something he's probably considered.
He had to have. And here's what gets me though. He says that people have brought him documents. People have given him things. people have disclosed stuff to him. That's how he got all the information. He wasn't directly involved with it, right? So
I think he might have said he saw photos of it, but that was as far as he didn't see actual anything physical. He wasn't around it.
yeah, and I don't think he took photos of it to Congress. So from my perspective, that means that other people have come to him for him to blow the whistle on their behalf. Yeah,
Yeah, he was the one. Yeah, I guess other people said I don't want to get into this shitstorm, and he might have said, "Oh, I'm gonna do it, guys. I'm gonna take one for the team. I'm gonna go spill the beans."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that feels like what's going on to me, and it's positive though. We want to see this guy do this, suffer no consequences, and be taken seriously. We don't want to see this guy go out. Me personally, I don't want to see him go out and start getting interviewed by people and making money off of it, and then saying things that he's not supposed to say and getting in trouble for it. Because I want other whistleblowers who obviously feel the need to disclose it to somebody to go in the right direction and follow the program, you know what I'm saying, and disclose it. I mean, he went on the news about it, which I don't know if that's the right or the wrong thing to do, but he did go on the news about it. He didn't say anything he wasn't supposed to, as far as I understand. And, now if he does die suddenly, it's suspicious, but I want to see that, I want to see the other people come out the way that he did and not so. It's kind of like somebody touches the electric fence before everybody else touches the electric fence, right? Make sure it's not on.
Right. Yeah, I want to see this guy be safe, and I'd like to see him be as successful as possible. I want to see him get a show on the History Channel or something. Or
I don't know how far. I don't know how far he's allowed to talk about it. I don't want to
yeah.
stuff up there.
Well, he doesn't have to say anything else. He can just don't have to spill any more facts.
Yeah, I don't want him to say anything that's going to get him incriminated. I don't want him to lie about it either and embellish it.
But maybe what he could do is he could look at, there's nothing wrong with talking about other UFO cases and things that have happened that people publicly know about. So maybe he could dig through all that stuff, dig through some other whistleblower cases and say, yeah, that sounds like bullshit, or yeah, that sounds like real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he could do that. That would be a great avenue for him to go. He could look at it and say, from what I understand, I've never seen anything like this. I look at that with skepticism. That's the fair way to put it. I'm very skeptical. I mean, I'm on here and I'm enthusiastic about it, but I'm very skeptical about a lot of stuff because there's so much bull crap out there. You know what I'm saying?
There's
so much crap out there that you kind of have to be skeptical. I mean, the things I trust are, I'm a big fan of the Bob Lazar thing. I trust a lot of the stuff Lou Elizondo has come out with personally, right? The things that he has said make a lot of sense to me. This new guy that just went to Congress, I trust everything he said so far. Everything sounds to me like it passes the smell test for sure. There's a few things, there's a lot of things that don't. There's a lot of things that are just out there, and I don't trust them at all. So be skeptical.
Yeah, there was something I was trying to get to, I couldn't quite get at. That I was trying to say earlier. So when I started reading like UFO books, and you just start online, just go search for UFO books, and see where that takes you. But I kind of searched, okay, what's the top 5 UFO books? I'm going to take a look at those, and those, if you look at the top ones, they're generally not too crazy. Like John Greenwald's book, of course, he doesn't say anything too crazy. He's just going into government documents. He's not going to say there's lizard people coming out of the earth or something. Ross Colhart, I read his book In Plain Sight, which is really good. I forgot to recommend to you. He's the guy that did the interview with the whistleblower. He has a pretty good book. And also another really famous one, Colonel Corso, it was the day after Roswell, which he was an Army colonel, and he was a pretty credible dude, but he had a pretty amazing story too. And it's not really like verified, I don't think, but in any way. It's just kind of his word. But Colonel Corso wrote this book like a year before he died and released it, which I think is kind of telling. But what I was getting at is once you read all those books, like the main ones that kind of just try to convince you, yeah, there is something to this. There's something more that's worth investigating. And then you start doing more research, and I say, well, okay, well, what's next? What do I start reading next? And then I start looking at more and more authors, and that's when you really start getting into the crazy stuff. And one person may have a book that says, yeah, there's lizard people coming out of the planet, and something totally crazy, and some of them sound less crazy. The latest one I've been reading is called UFOs in Reality by T.R. Dutton, and that's the one I was talking about, the guy that thinks he's found the paths that the UFOs are taking over the Earth, and can someone predict where they are, which I thought was interesting. But again, we don't know. It could be a crazy guy again, but he sounds pretty level-headed. But once you dip your foot into the water and you're like, okay, there's something to this. Okay, yeah, maybe something did happen at Roswell. Okay, yeah, maybe they do have UFOs. And then you start reading more into this, and you're like, whoa, like this is crazy. Another one I wanted to talk about was called like Behold a Pale Horse. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it was by this other guy that he said he was a naval intelligence officer. And oh boy, this one is a heavy duty one. It's like it basically kind of says a lot of the stuff that, like, along the veins of like what QAnon says, that basically the government is just this evil entity that's basically killing us and putting poison in our food, and blasting us with contrails or whatever. It's once you get into that stuff, then you're like I don't know what to make of this. It's totally bonkers. Like, so that's kind of where I'm at. I started reading that Behold a Pale Horse for a little bit, and I just stopped because I was like, this is just, it's too bizarre.
Yeah, that's the stuff that kills me, when people give too much credit to the government, right? I mean, when you get into these conspiracy theories, if you haven't seen how the government operates by now, once you're, fully functioning adult, and you should still believe some of the crap that comes out of people's mouths. I've been in the military, and I've had people say, oh, they're going to come door to door and confiscate our guns. Who's going to do that? I've had somebody tell me, we have the same computers that they have in Iron Man, where you can scrap crap in the air. Who has that? Who has that? Mm-hmm. Nobody has that. Not that I know. You know what I mean? There's too much money to be made off of something like that for them to keep that a secret. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we don't have any Iron Man technology, Jarvis or whatever, People believe that stuff. They believe that the government's just, everything is just a big conspiracy.
Yeah, like the government is some evil overlord that's putting poison in your food and lying. I mean, now granted, like after that last Y-Files episode, I'm starting to really think, yeah, maybe the government does like control our news like pretty closely about what we can hear on the news. And then, that makes me think, well, what else are they controlling? Are they controlling what they say in movies? Are they controlling what kind of food we get, or what else are they doing that we don't know? Or
there's a few things here to unpack. But so, like, okay, the Twitter files got released that Elon Musk had, right? I mean, the FBI was directly working with Twitter, to censor people. We all knew this. We all knew that we were being censored on social media. We've all known this. We still are. But we know this. The people from the FBI worked at Twitter. They were directly talking about this stuff. I haven't gotten deep into it because I'm not that interested in it. I already know that the government's involved with with what's going on with our news cycles and what we're talking about, the food, the food, right? Not, I didn't get into this article either, but I know it happened. The government has gone after the Amish people now. They're going after Amish farmers, for selling or trading or growing their own food. Like,
Hmm.
because it's not, passing government inspections or have past government readings or something. Like,
Hmm.
when did just normal food that comes out of the ground need any kind of, oversight before you eat it? You know
Yeah.
what I'm
I mean,
saying?
I guess I could
Amongst yourself.
understand the perspective. Like, it's not FDA certified, but then
Yeah.
again, the FDA lets us get all kinds of toxic crap in our food all the time. Like, the FDA's not doesn't
They're
do their
not,
job
they're, yeah, they're not
very
regulating
well at all.
supplements. I mean, I've got
Yeah.
pre-workout over here. I've got, things like that that are just, they're toxic sometimes. I mean, there's stuff in there, you don't even know what's in it. And you
Yeah.
turn around and you look at that, and then you turn around and look at, that you're going after some farmers for farming some cucumbers. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
they're
I mean, I
regulating
know
people's
a
farms.
while
Yeah.
back there was some toxic stuff in like baby formula and things like that. Like, you're not catching that, but you're caring about what these Amish people do.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm getting at. Like that. That's kind of dumb. I mean, it's not like they're putting it up on a grocery store shelf. Anybody that's consuming this stuff knows what farm it came from. But they're not using
Yeah.
pesticides. Apparently, I don't know if they're using pesticides as Amish people or not. I don't know if they use them or not. But I will say, wash your vegetables. But I mean, where you're getting your food from. But when you get pre-processed, or processed food, pre-packaged food, I don't know what all's in that stuff. Bottled milk
Mm-mm.
is apparently bad for you because of BPAs and BPHs or BP stuff, it's killing testosterone, microplastics and things like that. The government,
Yeah.
the government being involved and stuff never really works out to our advantage, in my opinion. If anything, it just raises taxes. It causes us to get taxed
Hmm.
more, and it doesn't really do anything positive. Like,
Yeah.
they're not this big overlord organization pulling the strings on everything in our lives. They're
Hmm.
not. There's no nefarious. There's the only nefarious reason the government's involved is to gain tax money out of us.
Hmm.
Like taxing tanning beds. You know,
Yeah.
which seems real silly to me. But,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. There must be a huge force of people employed to lie to us if this, a lot of this is going on.
yeah, my cousin has, he and I had a discussion. He was in the army, and I, just some of the things that he believes, I can't get behind either. Like they're tracking everything veterans do. They got you on some kind of watch list because you're a veteran. Like, just I don't get behind it. It would require a lot of money and a lot of people
Mhm.
to be involved to do the amount of stuff that everyone thinks the government does.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were, an FBI, CIA, or NSA agent, and your job was assigned to watch a few people, and you got to watch them.
Hmm.
You'd walk away pretty dumb at the end of the day. Probably gonna
Yeah.
commit suicide just from listening to my life and all the boring crap going on.
I imagine how it works is there's probably like some kind of AI that's processing all the text and voice that's probably going over the internet or something, and can if you're put a bunch of phrases together like talking about bombs or stuff like that or shootings, or maybe it might flag you, but that's imagine how I imagine works. So I can't imagine there's a person that actually sifts through every single person's internet activity. That would be just not even possible.
Think about this for a second, right? If every time you said or did something like that over the internet or the phone, anything like that, what would happen is somebody would have to go review it to make sure it was exactly what they thought it was or what it was flagged for. You got what, 350 million people or so in the United States, and let's just say if 1 million people said that in a day, anything that got flagged, how many agents it would take to go through and ensure if they needed to listen to that conversation or didn't need to listen to that conversation to follow this. They're not able to keep track of. If you're not on their radar, you're not on their radar. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, I guess they can go back and look in the history, but imagine how much data storage you need to keep up with all the data that gets used by the United States public
that's
in
insane.
just 1 week. It's like security footage when you have a security camera in your home or in your business and it's on a 24-hour loop. There's a reason it's on a 24-hour loop. It's a lot of data to store. You're not keeping up with a year of data from one business at that business. You know what I mean? So imagine the United States government having to keep up with everybody's business, all their personal devices, all of the data that happens over the internet, corporations, everything else. They can run it all through a server, like they can run it all through a server, but they can't store it. All of it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
That'd be very
storage.
expensive. Yeah.
That would be a massive operation. I'm not any kind of expert on this at all. I just know that it's hard for me to store, data on a 1 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah, basically how much 1 terabyte of data is like, and that pretty much uses your whole computer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Imagine, and that's just one person storing their own things. Imagine you're the government storing every person's everything. It's not something like that. Which, I mean, I'd be very hard for us to see that. Anyways, UFO stuff, man. I'm thinking if we get a chance to ask any of these questions, like this guy said, if anybody gets a chance to ask them the things that I want to know, we've already kind of discussed that, I want to know what these craft are. I want to know, what we have here, but nobody's going to be able to answer that. So what we have to do is get them to answer the right questions, right? Like, what do you like? If I was a congressional person, what kind of questions I think I would be able to answer or wouldn't be able to answer? I'd be able to answer what they're not. Can you tell us what these craft are not? Are they extraterrestrial?
Yeah.
Are they not extraterrestrial? Are they do we expect to see anybody human flying? You know what I mean? I feel like that's a good question because if we say, if we see one of these flying, should we assume it's extraterrestrial, or are we able to take them on test flights? Because if the public thinks that these are actual aliens and they think that it's threatening to them, how are they going to react? Are they going to start shooting at it? Like maybe, but if they think it's an Air Force pilot, are they going to be like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before somebody with a 50 caliber BMG takes a shot at one,
Yeah. I was gonna say, so recently, the other day, there's that UFO landing in Las Vegas. I don't know if you saw it, but basically this family and this kid said, yeah, UFO landed in my backyard. I saw them get out and look at me, called the police. He was on the phone with the police. He said, I'm looking at them right now. They have big buggy eyes and they're not definitely 100% not human. A police showed up. He got it on the thing landing on his body cam. He actually got a light landing on his body cam. And the kid has a really blurry video of what he says is the alien. So you're right. It's like, if the alien goes to like Texas or Alabama and shows up in somebody's backyard, are they just going to come out with their shotgun and blast? Like,
Well, just think about it. Like, in reality, what if we do have Air Force pilots flying these things around, or something like that, or anybody, what happens if you got somebody out like that's where it's usually found, where there's nobody at. I mean, it appears to me that if they are flying these craft around and test flying them, they're probably doing it over the ocean where they're less likely to be spotted. They could be spotted. I mean, but you know, if they're flying it from an Air Force base in Texas, and there's that case of that woman even going to court about it, you know, because they got radiation.
She got irradiated. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just assume that that's something that happened, and let's say somebody out there sees it and they feel like we're being invaded. You know, should they shoot at it? Should they shoot at it? I mean,
yeah.
But should we assume it's an alien, or should we assume it's a person? You know.
Yeah, the government should give us. I feel like with this coming out, they should give us some direction. Like the government should say, hey, you know, yeah, these are real, but it's safe. You know, you don't need to get your guns out and start shooting at it if you see it, or you know, or if it's not safe, they need to say if you see it, you need to get the fuck away and call the police. You know.
From what it sounds like to me, as much as I want to investigate one up close, if I see it flying, it sounds to me like people have been biologically, you know, affected by these things, whether it's radiation poisoning or some other type. Probably wouldn't want to get right up next to it, but I don't know. Maybe I need to feed my cows some tannerite and wait for it to get abducted and then pull it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. Like that's what I feel like that's a legitimate question to know. Like, are we expecting to see these things out? You know, the thing is once people know that we have them, and if we have them making test flights, you know, obviously we're not going to want to show off any military technology to our enemies. But on the back burner here, you get to know this isn't something that's threatening you. This is, you know, you happen to come across it. And blow it up, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be alarming to anybody who sees something like that.
Yeah, it would be alarming to anybody that sees it, regardless.
Yeah,
I mean, you're going to whip out your phone. You're going to start taking video. I mean, unless you have some device that's going to shut down all video camcorders in a 100-mile radius, you know. I think it's a fair question. I think that there's going to be. It's kind of like John was talking about with the FOIA requests. You know, there's a way to ask the question to get the answer you want. And you may not get the admission or guilt that you want. Like yes, we definitely have them. Yes, they're alien. No, they're not, you know, alien. But there's a way to ask the question to get the answer that you want, you know. And then that's another thing I think we need to start doing immediately. Is going through the FOIA requests, you know, figuring out how to do it, because like if Congress is having these briefs, you know, not every bit of it is classified. You know, not every information that gets shared is classified. We should submit FOIA requests to know what information is being shared. You know,
you're right.
That's what that information. That's what that's there for. That's the spirit of the Freedom of Information Act, so that the American people can be informed. I think the American people are less informed when we aren't looking at Freedom of Information Act stuff. I don't have any experience with it yet, but now that
we're kind of beginners, but you know, any time's a good time to start. You know,
what kills me though is when you go through the things that they've redacted, it feels like E4 is just sitting there redacting everything, and somebody is signing off on it and saying, "Yeah, that looks good. You redacted everything on the whole page."
Yeah, I'm sure they're
completely useless. You know.
Yeah.
like nobody will ever be able to determine anything from this at all. You know, which is not what the process is about. You know, I mean, I don't think.
Well, there's a way to dispute that.
The
redactions. To say that this is overly redacted, but you know, it's just like a long process, because John Greenwald said he waits years for these FOIA requests to come out.
That's the point of it, is to make sure that you die before you get the information. And
Yeah.
I just really hope that the people in government will say, this is what this is for. If it doesn't need to be redacted, don't redact it. It's information that my neighbors deserve to have, because you got to remember, these people that are working in the government that are in charge of this stuff, they are our neighbors. You might live next door to some of them, and for somebody to come out and just slap the American people in the face, you're slapping your neighbors in the face with this. You're saying you don't deserve to know this. But you do. So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah, that I think that brings up another interesting question. If they've been keeping this secret for so long, then what's the reason? And things I've heard, like I've heard a story about like Jimmy Carter. He was pushing questions about the UFOs, and then they allegedly gave him a memo or a paper that explained it all to him, and he read it, and then he just like burst out crying because it just like totally rocked his world. Like that's the alleged story. So I've heard people speculate on that and say, well, maybe it says that the aliens created us, or the aliens had something to do with our religions, or creating our religions, or had something to do with that there's something about our relationship with the aliens that's very shocking to us, or would be shocking, and that's why they don't tell us.
first of
I
all,
think.
Jimmy Carter still exists. He was no, I think he died, didn't he? But I don't know. Let me look it up before I start talking about something I don't know about.
Yeah, I think it was pretty sure it was Jimmy Carr. I'll make sure though.
Yeah. Last I looked, the dude was still alive. So
He was for a while. Yeah, I remember he's like building
yeah, he's
houses
alive.
and stuff. He
He's alive.
still
He's
is.
98 years old. But I mean, he was apparently, I had seen something where he was out like volunteering his time and,
Yeah, he
doing things
builds
like,
houses for like
yeah,
homes for homeless or something.
yeah, something like that. Like he's still alive. You could still go ask him this question and be like, yo, is this real or is this fake? Like, did this really happen?
Hmm.
Did you see something on it and it made you burst out crying? That's a question he's allowed to answer.
Yeah, man. He doesn't have to say what it was.
He doesn't
Yeah.
have to say what it was. Yeah, I read something about it and it made me cry. But the truth is, yeah, finding out about this stuff's going to affect people who are of religion. But it's like the lady in Texas said she thought that UFO was the second coming of Jesus, and she got out of her car to welcome Jesus. He just decided to
Yeah.
land in Texas. You know, so when you look at it from that perspective, the more that we grow advanced in technology, from my perspective, you know, when the Bible talks about things like angels or the heavens, uh, there's nothing in there that says there's no such thing as aliens, in my opinion. There's,
No.
I don't think there's anything in there that says that. So it's not worth losing your faith over it. Believing in aliens, believing in extraterrestrials doesn't mean you have to lose your faith. Doesn't mean that.
No, I don't. I don't think that's in conflict at all.
No, I don't think so either. So I don't see there being this big, huge problem with people. The only
Hmm.
people I could see being a problem for it are television pastors.
Hmm.
That's it. So if you're watching it to TV preachers, which I don't recommend that you do, but if you are, don't believe them when it comes to aliens because they don't make the facts.
Hmm. Like tagging on to what you said about the woman who saw the UFO and thought it was Jesus. I think that's going to happen with a lot of people. Once everybody knows it's real, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are going to think, "Oh, the aliens are here to bring us to bring us salvation." Just like the Haley's Comet cult people. There's people like that are going to come out of the woodwork, and I think that's why there needs to be direction by the government, so people aren't scared and confused and easily
Yes,
fall for that stuff.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the more that the problem is that there's ways to host this stuff. I can go online right now and use AI on Discord or
Hmm.
something. I can create. a picture of a UFO abducting a cow, or some crazy stuff. There's a lot of crap out there. There's ways to say that, oh, this isn't real what you see, but there's a lot of things that just can't be faked. And there's a lot of things that can't be explained away by a government organization or government officials. There needs to be some disclosure from the government, in my opinion, because like I'll give you an example. After the Twin Towers fell, right? The first thing you saw, was the government coming out and reassuring people, George Bush coming out and reassuring people that we got this. You know what I mean? You see them on site, they're there. They're giving them the reassurance that the American people, we're going to take care of this. We're going to fight back. We're going to respond. We will protect you. That's what we pay them for. That's why we pay taxes to the government.
Yeah.
That's why we have such a big defense budget, is so that they can protect us. And I feel like when it comes to UFOs and whistleblowers coming forward, the more transparent that they can be and the more truth that they can tell, the more willing they are to say, hey, this is what's really going on. This is why it's been kept a secret. This is what we thought. Maybe we were right. Maybe we were wrong. This is what's happened. This is what we know, and this is what we don't know. Those things are going to make a difference when it comes to people. People want to believe what they're saying, and we can see, you can tell when somebody's lying. This isn't like, in the 1940s where somebody may have said something on a radio. You can see your facial expressions now. You know what I mean? I can get people's tone of voice, their body language. We'll know when they're lying. They need to come out and just flat out tell everybody the truth. That way, people know what to expect and know that they're going to protect us. Or if we need to pull out our 50 caliber BMGs and start shooting things in the sky.
Right. Yeah. Go get in your bunker and get your guns.
Yeah. Exactly. Hang on. I'm gonna turn on the light.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Exactly. That's
Oh yeah. Kind of tying off of that. What I was gonna say is so everybody's going to have the same questions we are. What do they look like? What are these things? How do they fly? And with all these people looking for answers, there's going to be people that are going to give them, that are just going to make up answers. Like, yeah, I know all about the aliens, man. Just pay for my subscription, and I'll tell you all about them.
That's the big
$10 a
problem.
month.
That's the big problem, is that we got people out here. I feel like the government has been on a big disinformation campaign for a long time about this stuff, and maybe it's to fool our foreign adversaries. Maybe their intention isn't really to fool the American people and their neighbor next door, because when you think about it, you retire from government, you go live next to your next door neighbor, and they believe a bunch of bogus crap about UFOs, and you're part of that disinformation campaign. I don't think I could feel real good about doing that to my fellow Americans. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather say nothing than tell them a lie, and
No.
You think about it like that, you're going to end up with a bunch of people with a bunch of bogus information. And then you end up with things like Storm Area 51, where they've decided that sounds like it'll be fun,
Yeah.
But you're going to end up with some people who die hard believe that's the right thing to do, and if you get a lot of stuff coming out about this, you may end up with a lot of things you don't want, a lot of side effects, I guess. A lot of side effects. A lot of people that join a cult think, the government.
Yeah. I mean, we already saw a violent mob try to overthrow, the election over the Trump stuff. What's going to happen when all these people realize that the government has been lying to us?
Yeah, well, the government,
they're going to be even angrier.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot to answer for. So it's kind of like if we're moving towards disclosure, the more transparency and the more they can come forth and tell the truth, the better. The less that they do that, the more they try to hide that from us. I mean, it's very similar to, the January 6th riots. It's very similar to, let me think, there's so many other things that have happened, that have occurred, based on misinformation, right? Misinformation is a big problem. And when you tell us that the truth is misinformation and then lie to us, you degrade that trust even further, The same thing happens, when you come out and say we don't have UFOs or we don't have any alien technology and this is all bogus, and then eventually the truth is going to come out. It will come out. It's going to get out. It will surface, There's going to be someone who can't hold it in. There's going to be somebody who, can't be trusted that ends up in a place that they shouldn't be. We're going to find out if it's real. It's only a matter of time. So the deeper the hole gets dug, the worse the consequences are going to be when the truth finally comes out. The less trust.
Right. Yeah. The people who've been orchestrating this lie need to be very careful because people are angry.
They don't need to be careful if their plan is to come forward with the truth, because I think everybody can handle it. I think everybody would respect the fact that it has been kept secret from us, but now we're telling you, this is what's really going on. These are our reasons for keeping some of it secret.
Yeah.
I feel like we're on the path though, man. I feel like we're going the right direction. I feel like it's coming. It's
exciting times. Yeah. That last whistleblower got me fired up.
I was so pumped. I couldn't
ready
believe
to
that.
charge the battle. I couldn't stop talking about it. I was just like, I had to go tell my kids. My brother-in-law was staying over. I had to tell him all about it. I showed it to my wife. They both said, "Is this real?" I said, "Yeah, you're fucking right. It's real." Like,
when you testify to Congress about it, it's real.
Yeah.
If you look at it like that, it's like that. There are serious implications for lying to Congress. You call it a classified briefing in Congress. There has to be something there to talk about.
Yeah, or he's going to pay consequences.
Exactly, and that's reason enough to believe that it's real.
I think so too. Well, I'm about to hit up here. I'm gonna wrap up. Go get back here soon.
Let's end it with something though. Let's end it with the thing that we talked about, where we were talking about running a poll maybe on YouTube, and we can post it a few other places too.
To do our investigation. Yeah,
because we want to go investigate and see where these UFOs are. I like the idea of investigating whether or not there are paths that they travel. I like that idea. I mean,
let me finish this book and I'll have more to say about it. Once I finish this book, I'm going to hit you up right away and probably tell you everything I learned.
Yeah.
So let me get once I have the full details of.
Yeah, we want to do we want to go investigate and see if we can find places where these have been seen abundantly. And I wrote a few of them down. I wrote Area 51 down because it sounds like fun. It's kind of like a Bigfoot hunt. I wrote down the area where Ryan Graves recorded his. I'm not sure how far out at sea they were when they recorded that.
No idea.
I can take a vessel out there, but I don't know how far out they were. I don't want to go 200 miles out looking 20,000 feet in the air, near towns with nuclear missiles. People say there's been a lot of activity. So we'll come up with a list of places. We'll put it up and put a poll up, and then people can vote on it and see what people think. See if there's a lot of interest in it. And if people would like to see us investigate and do some on the ground field work.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do. Like John Greenwald said, like we need to push the needle forward towards the truth, and we want to go wherever we can find some shreds of evidence of that truth, or uncovers, do some real UFOlogy work, some real on the ground journalism. And if people have ideas, we're welcome to hear them, and we're gonna take some input from our audience about
and witness testimonies too. Anybody that would be willing to talk about what they've seen, what they've experienced. I mean, if we're gonna put it on, if we're gonna put it on the YouTube, if we're gonna put it, if we're gonna talk about it, we want it to be real. We want it to be genuine. We want to get people's experiences. Somebody that's been involved in this stuff that wants to talk about it, that would be great. We could find out, what they have to say, and let everybody know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Share your UFO experience.
Exactly. That would be a great idea. All right, man. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here, I guess. I think this was pretty good.
Yeah, it's been fun. I had a good time. I enjoyed this. Even if people don't watch this whole thing, I don't care. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I'm going to stop the recording. We're going to wrap up. Everybody take care.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Everybody take care. Thanks for watching. If you stick around for the whole thing and watched it to the end, God bless you for listening. For listening to us that long. All right. Well, take care, Hobbs. I'll talk to you later. All right. Good night.